Chronicles of Hope is essential reading for seekers of inspiration and spiritual empowerment. This series offers nourishment for those on a path of increased awareness at this challenging time. Inspired by higher sources of wisdom, Chronicles of Hope delivers messages to lift your spirit with a roadmap of hope and guidelines for living a life of expanded consciousness. The guides offer powerful insight for mental, emotional, and spiritual growth at this critical tipping point for humanity. The message is clear. We must change. We have the power to raise our vibrational energy individually and collectively before it's too late. I am Lois Herman, author of the best-selling Chronicles of Hope series and host of the Inspiring Hope radio show at WSMN.live or 95.3 FM. You can find me at loisherman.com or chroniclesofhope.net.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to Inspiring Hope with Lois Herman, a leading expert in professional coaching, clinical hypnosis, and energy clearing. Lois is an award-winning author of Chronicles of Hope. She has decades of experience in advanced hypnosis techniques, has conducted highly effective success coaching programs that have helped clients discover ways to achieve success, empower themselves, their families, as well as holistic practitioners to expand their practices. Get ready to be empowered with your host, Lois Herman.
Good morning and welcome to Inspiring Hope. I am your host, Lois Herman, and I'm here to inspire you with positive messages and celebrate people who are making a difference in our world. When we focus our thoughts and energies on truth, honesty, and integrity, we create powerful shifts that cause us to be more positive and peaceful. As we lift our energy, we empower everyone around us. If we each do what we can to make small shifts in awareness, we create ripples of hope. Join us as catalysts for positive change for our families, our communities, and our world at large. I hope you are inspired by today's show. And today's a very special show. On a recent Inspiring Hope show, Andrew and I shared the session with Jesus from Chronicles of Hope, Book 2. He did a wonderful job capturing the essence of Jesus' spirit and made our interaction fluid and genuine. It's profound to listen to the conversation as an observer, to feel and sense the passion and emotion Jesus shared as he channeled his energy through Gary. If you've yet to hear the session, I encourage you to listen to it at chroniclesofhope.net. At the time of our session 4 years ago, I was overjoyed to have an actual conversation with this dear guide whom I call on regularly. Jesus comes to many clients as they're in a meditative, prayerful, or trance state. As the observer in these sessions, I have the privilege of hearing his messages of love, kindness, compassion, and forgiveness. He encourages people to lighten up, often saying we're too hard on ourselves, that we need to enjoy our lives and each other. Jesus brings a warm, glowing kindness that is truly profound. Clients always express a sense of calmness when he visits them, and I encourage people to call on him regularly, especially when stressed or worried. I've learned that Jesus will take away our fears when we remember to call on him. He will always be there. Jesus was very animated in the channeled conversation. He sat up in the chair, held his hands lightly in front of him, and gestured regularly. At one point, he opened his arms wide. At one point, he opened his arms wide in that gently welcoming gesture, as he often portrayed in pictures. At times, he rubbed his chin in thought and moved his head from side to side. He even buried his face in his hands in exasperation at one point. His energy was intensely palpable, and I could feel his warmth, tenderness, and sincerity deep in my heart. Jesus was quite personable, exhibited a sense of humor, and expressed a wide variety of emotions. He had tears in his eyes when he spoke with a sadness over his messages being lost or distorted. And I could feel the depth of his suffering as he lowered his energy to be in this human form through Gary. Though we can't see his gestures in the audio version of the interview, Through listening, the messages seem to take on a life of their own, and we become aware of the insights from a very different perspective. Isn't it interesting how these messages given only a few years ago have so much more meaning in our current world situation? His messages are both timely and perfectly timed for this day and age. Jesus inspired us to remember who we are and to embody the simple messages he shared. Unfortunately, only those who are called, who have ears to hear, eyes to see, and hearts to know, will grasp the true meaning of his messages. You are listening to Inspiring Hope with Lois Herman at WSMN 1590.live or 95.3 FM. Please share these messages, watch the videos on my YouTube channel or website loisherman.com, and join our Hope community for support and inspiration at chroniclesofhope.net.
I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in dark and sin, my hand will save. I who made the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of snow and rain, I have borne my people's pain. I have wept for love of them. They turn away. I will break their hearts of stone, give them hearts for love alone. I will speak my word to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of wind and flame, I will tend the poor and lame. I will set a feast for them. My hand will save. Finest bread I will provide, till their hearts be satisfied. I will give my life to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard
That was Colin Ray. Here I am, Lord. And we have heard you calling in the night. Jesus answered his call, and I often ask myself, what would Jesus do in this situation? Today, I'm delighted and honored to be joined by two of my dearest light warrior friends and colleagues who share the calling with a passion for truth, honesty, and integrity. We are dedicated to keeping Jesus' message alive and are here today to discuss some of his more powerful insights. Welcome, Kathy Kubacki, a powerful energy expert, Akashic Records reader, and professional hypnotist from the Finger Lakes region of New York. She's on the phone with us. Are you there, Kathy?
I sure am. Good morning, Lois and Christine.
Good morning, Kathy.
And Christine is here with me in the studio. Christine Peck, also an energy expert, a certified hypnotist, an incredible visionary from Massachusetts. Thank you both for sharing this time with us.
It is a privilege to be here.
It is a privilege.
Yeah.
And
Indeed.
you both had heard that song. I played a clip of it during the Jesus session.
Right.
You're like, please play the whole thing.
Yes.
Oh, don't you love that?
Oh, it brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah, he just his rendition is just truly heartfelt.
No, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So you both have been with me on this journey, so I thank you so much for being here. And you're also both very familiar with the written text of the session that's in the book. And I want you to, I want to know your thoughts. Kathy, tell us how that verbal interview with Jesus impacted you. What did you think of the audio version of that?
I thought the audio version was beautiful. It just lent a depth. You know, when I read, I kind of hear the voice in my mind, but to actually be able to not be reading and just listen, it was absolutely beautiful and just affected me deeply.
Yeah. As many times as I've listened or read or, prepared to write it, Andrew just captures the essence so that I'm able to listen too without the effort of reading and could really get even deeper into the messages. What did you think, Christine?
Yes, I agree with both of you. Basically, what I felt was I felt like he was right there talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it felt so personal. And you could feel the emotions. You could feel what you talked about at the beginning about the sense of humor, and even without seeing the gestures, you could hear it the way Andrew portrayed what he was reading.
Yeah.
And it was just a beautiful experience to be able to hear it orally.
Thank you. I'm hoping,
Yeah.
I'm planning to do that with the whole rest of book 2, and then we'll jump into the episodes with book 3.
Right.
So stay tuned. Once a month, we're going to have
That'll
a
be
different
great.
of the chapters, and then we'll discuss them.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of jump into the highlights of this. The way that we've constructed the book is there's the actual the conversation that Andrew and I read on the show, and then there's a reflection that's just kind of my thoughts on what just happened here.
Right.
And then I took the high points and put them in a highlighted section. So there were many different highlights in the Jesus session. So I wanted just to kind of jump in and ask you to help me
Yes, absolutely.
digest these a little bit.
So what, Kathy, you take the first one. What do you think?
Of which part, Lois?
So going through the highlights, and
I'm looking at them. So one of the Unquietus children's children, is that?
Yes.
Okay. Jesus has a fondness for earth and is never far away, although he's not in physical form. And I believe that. Once you've developed that relationship, you can feel Jesus' presence, and he sends you subtle clues. And I through our meetings and our sessions and that I take that very personally.
Yes. Yeah, I know you do a lot of posting, even on Facebook, messages from Jesus, from the Bible, and from other sources. So we all have our own personal relationship with Jesus, and it's very real. It's very palpable.
It is very real, and it is very palpable. And I know, a lot of times that's met with an eye roll from people who don't have that relationship. And those are the ones I don't necessarily concern myself with.
Exactly. So the point that he made about a turning point coming to the earth, when he said that, they've all made mention of that throughout the whole Chronicles series. I'm thinking, 25 or 100 years past my time.
Yeah.
Holy cannoli, it's happening right now.
Yeah.
Christine, what are your thoughts on that?
We're definitely living in that period of time. The messages that you got for all three of your books, book 1, book 2, and book 3 to come, are very current for what humanity is dealing with, not just on a political sense, but just humanity. The bringing an awareness to all of us of what is really important, reconnecting with nature, reconnecting with Mother Gaia, that this is a turning point and an opportunity that's being gifted to us by the messages to save humanity. I mean, I really do feel that it's that important, that it's that deep, and it's that powerful. And I just give great thanks for you, for your courage and your tenacity at bringing these messages forward and doing this wonderful radio show and giving other people a chance to hear and learn. And yes, there are a lot of people who roll their eyes and stuff, but maybe today might be the magical day that they hear something that resonates in their heart that helps to open it up. So I do feel that it's so critical.
Thank you, Christine.
Yeah.
And it's things like that you're just saying that keeps me on this with the tenacity.
Right.
I made a commitment. I made a promise. I am a person of my word.
Right.
So I'm continuing to bring these out there. And like you said, if it just touches one person, if the work that all the three of us are doing just touch one person, then we will have fulfilled our mission. Yes.
Right.
So, Kathy, which one would you like to pick to talk about next?
Well, I'm just going to give my viewpoint on what Christine just said as well, because she's 100% correct. And yes, if we reach one person, that means the world and that we were heard. So, I'm happy with that. I think I started this with, oh my God, I have to make people listen. I have to make people listen. And I don't.
Correct.
And I can't. But maybe I can make one person listen. And that makes a difference to me, because this transcends the political. People want to keep making this political. It transcends the political. This is about being a human being and being a family of human beings. We're all the same. And I feel like that point gets missed. And, one of the things, Jesus' energy was close enough to ours. He spent a human life. He feels emotion. He understands. And I think that explains my personal relationship with him.
And you're right. I do a lot of invoking or asking for the archangels. I work, especially when I'm doing clearing work, I work a lot with archangels, Michael and Jophiel and Samuel.
Right.
And you're right, Kathy. Jesus walked with us. So before I do a radio show, I'll ask, please speak through me, because he was an amazing orator. He knows what the people need to hear. So I ask, please, give me the words. Let me speak the truth. Let me speak that someone might hear a message, because he was just incredible at walking the path and reaching human hearts.
He also, having lived as a human, he understands the imperfection of humanity, and that we all have, our positive points and our less than positive points, where we're sometimes challenged and working through to understand that, and can make mistakes, and that's okay. We learn from that. So I think having that relationship makes it so much more personal.
And that's what came through in this session, is that the sadness.
Right.
I was shocked to hear him so sad at times,
Right.
because when he had to lower his vibrational energy to be in human form,
Right.
now he's feeling our whole spectrum of emotions.
Right.
When we're in that elated high vibe form, we don't have to feel sad. We can feel compassion, or we can sense what other people are feeling, but we don't. The energy doesn't lower us.
Right.
So it was interesting to observe and interact with him as he felt the weight of the world.
Right.
And that's what happens with us being as a human. We start feeling what other people are feeling, and it lowers our energy.
Right.
It does, unless you're well protected. The other thing that he seemed to manage to hone in on perfectly is the scarcity. There is no real scarcity on earth. There's enough. There's enough for everyone. That goes back to greed and back to the Roman Empire. You know, he touched on those points. The Roman Empire was one of the physically strongest civilizations, although they lacked in morality towards the end of their civilization. And it seems like that's where we are.
Right. And he said that was decay from within that brought them down, and which is look at where we're at right now. Decay from within. And people need to go within to find the healing, the nurturing, the connection with the divine in order to keep the energy up. And that's what he's saying. You know, he said it's the same message he gave 2,000 years ago. The message has been distorted through time and distorted through people, and he was very upset about that. That people have distorted it for their own purposes, for their own ego and greed.
Well, and seems like it's been done across the board. I grew up Catholic, and we all had the picture of Jesus with the Sacred Heart, and no one ever told us that applies to all of us. Jesus wasn't the only one with a Sacred Heart, and that's where we go for our communication. That's why, we speak from the heart, we live from the heart. But we weren't necessarily specifically taught that.
Right, and it's that Christ light within us.
Yeah.
Those of us who are awake and aware are manifesting that light and bringing it with us. That's what he said, just walk the path. You don't have to remember my words exactly, just live them.
Right.
Live them.
And sorry.
Yes,
Kathy.
go, Christine.
He also reminded us about the correlation between living in love and remembering to just be in love and compassion, and how when you have those two aspects that you're really trying and working to live your life with, that makes all the difference, and that helps you stay at that higher frequency, and it reminds you of awakening your Christ light within.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because they managed to do away with his body, but they never extinguished his light.
Right. Right.
His spirit was eternal.
Right.
And he said he appeared to his followers in their mind's eye. Right. Because those of us, we were just talking about when we do trance work, when we go on our journeys, because we have been doing this collectively for a period of time, where we collectively can see and hear and listen and communicate with him. That's what his followers back then were able to do.
Yep.
You can do this too. And that's what he said.
Yep.
This and more you can do.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about that compassion. He said love gets kind of overused. It's an overused word. And he said it's a simple matter of compassion, of having compassion for another person instead of blaming, shaming, accusing. Just have compassion. And that was a human quality that is rare in the universe, he said. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between emotion and compassion, right?
True. Very much so.
Well, and it seems like emotion takes us out of compassion. Not all the time, but if you think about it, when we're all caught up in the emotion of something, it's hard to expand the compassion to include everyone.
Yeah, and so people get so emotional, and when the emotions, we're on that logarithmic scale of emotions, when we're down vibing in that low level emotion of guilt and shame and anger and fear, then we can't have compassion. That is a higher vibe energy. Right. So we get that through our meditative practices, our connection with the divine, with nature. And I loved when he was talking about Gaia is the spirit of the
Yeah.
planet and cares for all of you. In some sense, you are all her children. We are all made of her bones while in physical form.
Yeah.
I would have never thought of Jesus talking about Gaia and the spirit of the planet.
Yeah.
I thought that was like, wow. And he said there is no real scarcity. There is enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And for every disease, there is a cure, and the cure is unique for every individual. So I don't believe in a God that would have created diseases for which there were no cure. I feel like we were provided with everything we needed.
Well, and we're finding that a lot of the diseases are,
Yes.
shall we say, man-made. We created our own disease. God didn't create them.
Right.
We've created the disease. So the thing is oftentimes there is a cure for the disease that man made. Man has created the cure as well.
Right.
They coexist.
Right.
And so we need to, and oftentimes some of this stuff was done based on greed. And what we need to do is really have compassion for one another and pay attention to taking care of these beautiful, wonderful bodies that we were given.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing. Some people consider themselves to be very, very witty when they say, oh, if there's a God, why doesn't he clean up this mess?
Mm-hmm.
Because God's not a janitor, that's why. Wouldn't make the mess.
Oh, good. I asked Kathy to please bring her
Spicy Kathy.
the spice.
That's awesome, Kathy. That's great.
It's true. He's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
And I just saw this little cartoon.
Yeah.
And it showed the difference between religion, and I consider myself a recovering Catholic. I publicly talk about this. It shows a woman praying over a plant.
Right.
And it says that the difference between religiosity and spirituality.
Yeah.
So religiosity is just praying, and expecting God to take care of you, versus the spirituality. And she's got her garden. She's digging in the. She's
watering the plant.
She's watering the plant, and it's growing a beautiful tomato or something.
Right.
But
Right.
she's actively doing something. There is a difference between sitting back and saying, God, take care of this for me, versus, okay, the God in me is going to connect with that wonderful, amazing wisdom, and I'm going to take an action that will end up bearing fruit.
Right.
That's the difference to me.
Right.
Exactly.
So I know that's a little blasphemous, but the heck. I consider myself a very spiritual person. Very, my whole day starts with a prayer. My whole life is asking for guidance and inner wisdom every step of the way, and saying I love you to my plants. Yes, I do.
Right.
But and to my friends, and speaking the compliment aloud. That was one of the most poignant things for me.
Right.
Was to speak the compliment out loud.
Yeah, that one was very. I loved hearing that again. I mean, I remember reading it and thinking, "Wow, that's powerful," but when it's not part of your everyday makeup, it's really nice to be reminded. And that's what I was going to say is what I love about the messages in your books are every time I read them and I go through them, I come away with a new insight, a new awareness. And speaking the compliment is a perfect example of that, because we often can think the compliment in our head and think, wow, that person's doing a great job, or isn't that wonderful? But if we don't actually give voice to it, then they don't know that they're doing a good job necessarily. And it's just lovely to give that out, because that comes from a state of grace and love and compassion as well. When you do that.
That's so true. And maybe in that moment, that's the exact thing they need to hear.
Correct.
And it also comes back when you share a compliment, it makes you feel good.
It does.
And I know I was raised, don't give them the big head. Yeah. So parents held back on complimenting their children. Right. I know some parents overdo it, but when someone has done something, or if there is something special, share it. It just, why not? Because it is uplifting. It shifts the energy.
It does.
And we need to speak the compliment aloud. Right. We need to acknowledge the good things, because the more we acknowledge the good in our world, the more the good is amplified.
Right.
What we water grows.
Yeah.
So there was another interesting one. Christine, you were talking about, as we go through this, we have a group that meets on Thursday, the second and fourth Thursday, no, the first and third Thursdays of the month.
Yeah.
And we discuss these, the different messages, and we
Right.
get different things based on the current times. When, at the time when he said this statement, it's not what you say, it's the belief in what you say that matters. As long as you do no harm, pick your frame of reference and stay with it. If you can be true to your beliefs, that essentially makes you a good person. At the time, I thought, well, that doesn't make sense to me. But now, how many people are parroting narratives that are truly not their belief? It's what somebody else's belief.
Right.
And they're just repeating it. They don't really have a belief.
Right.
And that's the difference between thinking for yourself and regurgitating programmed narrative. And that's what we're seeing right now in a big way.
Right. I do believe, I agree with all of that, but I do believe that more and more people are taking responsibility for, doing research, reading different aspects, listening to different people, and then coming to their own, using their own critical thinking and coming to their own conclusion about what their belief is. And it's like putting on a new suit or a new dress, because we have so not done this for such a long time that it's like, how do I do this? How do I work within these parameters? And it's beautiful to see, because as you own something and truly believe it, then you're coming from a place of truth and integrity for yourself. And it makes everything else so much easier to move forward with, because you have your clear path, you have your clear destination. May not be congruent with those around you and with your family, but if you own it and live it, then it's easier. It's so much easier, rather than, oh, well, that sounds like a good belief, that's something I should believe in, and then just trying to follow that, because then it's not true to you, and it doesn't hold with being congruent with your own inner faith and belief in what it is that you're doing, and just feeling it. Yeah.
Well, that's true, but I think part of that has to do with we've kind of all set our inner compass ourselves, because I was horrified and fascinated to learn that most of our beliefs are set between birth and 7 years old. So we actually have to make a conscious choice to go in and examine those beliefs when they arise and say, no, wait a minute, why do I believe that? Why do I believe that? Is that true?
Right.
And we've all done that work, but I think for the people that choose not to do that work, I honestly do believe maybe people come for different reasons. We came as seekers of truth. Some people, I think, just came for the party. I don't know.
Yes, and you're right. We adopt our parents or the people who have raised us, program us as children. We're so eager to fit in, live, love, and belong. We are eager to fit in, and we want to make our parents happy. So we adopt the beliefs of our parents, which can be good and can be also very destructive. Right. And so as we examine what do I really choose to believe, and say, okay, this was an ancestral belief or whatever, I'm now choosing a different path for myself. It takes some courage to do that.
Right.
Well,
right.
It does. And when you remember that some of those beliefs were not pleasantly installed.
That's very true.
Yeah. Some of the beliefs that we have, we were punished into.
Exactly.
And so it's time to, drudge that up, clear it, and move on. The whole hive mind thing, we were not put here for that.
Right. I know one of the things that, because I was asking in the interview with Jesus, I feel like he was on my radio show. I was interviewing him.
Yeah.
And I said, what was one of your best, what was a message that you would want? And he said, my number one, this would be my number one, is do what you believe is right. He said, Hippocrates said it best, first do no harm.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And it's simple. It's simple. Do no harm. And that's the Hippocratic oath that medical doctors take. And look around now.
Yeah.
What's going on with our medical community? It's heartbreaking. And that's where he was just shaking his head, even at the time before what's going on now.
Right.
That people are not being true to who they are. They're following a program narrative.
Right.
That's true. My grandmother used to say there's nothing new under the sun. So this just seems like an iteration of something that's all happened before.
Mm-hmm. It has. I saw something that talked about, and I'm going to have to remember, in, so this is 2020, is the COVID epidemic. 1920 was the swine flu. 1820 was the cholera epidemic.
Right.
And was it 1720 was another epidemic. So the plague, the Black Plague.
Right.
So something to do with this 20-year. So it's a 100-year cycle of some sort of epidemic. So we are in a time of wake up, wake up.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said is the only judge you ever have to face is yourself.
Yeah.
The only person you have to be better than is the person you are today. Many of us were brought up comparing ourselves to one another. And I have that with a lot of clients, as I'm sure you both do as well.
Right.
Whereas I have to do this and I have to do this. No, you just have to be.
Right.
Be who you, do you.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And then
That's
I guess
the only person. Yeah, go ahead.
the only thing I would add to that is I think there are some people who are too judgmental of themselves. It's you're right that it's you and your life and how you're living it and how you're living to your truth. But there are some people in our world today who are so critical of themselves that they feel like they're always a failure. And to those people, I would say, look at all that you do that is good. Look at all of your gifts. Look at what is shining inside of you, because we all have that part. And if we can focus on all of that, that makes all the rest, it helps. It helps to work through whatever it is that you're being so hard on yourself about.
And that hard on yourself is programmed behavior.
It is.
It's like Kathy was saying, we were browbeat into
Right.
you're not this, you're not this, you're
Right.
not good enough.
Right.
And when we realize that, first do no harm, do unto others as you would have others do unto you.
Yeah.
That's a simple message.
Yeah.
And so just be you. If you intend no harm,
Yeah.
then you're a good person.
Right.
And
Yes.
believe in yourselves. That's what he said. You
Yeah.
are the one that makes reality exist.
Yeah.
Believe in you. And that is, again, reprogramming what we have been conditioned by our social thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, I love the way he spoke, because there's this one passage where he says, when given a small box, it is difficult to add something new to the box without emptying some of the contents first. And I think that small box, hopefully it's not that small, hopefully it's gotten bigger over the years, is our mind.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to empty some of the contents that we have stuck in there
Right.
in
Yes.
order to expand. There are so many messages here.
I know.
One of the things that I wanted to point on that he really brought home to me. Some of us have the ability to see auras, the energy around people,
Right.
and I often thought, oh, well, isn't that's neat? That's
Yeah.
the energy around the person. And the whole belief that we are human, we're spirits having a human existence.
Right.
Well, that aura, and he says it. That is you.
Yeah.
Your aura, that is your being. That is
Yeah.
your energy. The human body is just the physical clothes you wear, the representation that you're seeing in this incarnation. But the true you is the aura that you see when you're
Right.
looking at another person.
Right.
Yes.
And we're looking at people these days and seeing a lot of lot of issues with auras.
Yes.
A lot of cords and attachments and rusties and
Right.
yuck in their aura. So we've been doing a lot of energy clearing. And once we clean up someone's aura,
Yeah.
it's kind of like cleaning the muck off the windshield.
Yes.
Boom, they shine, they glow, and they feel it.
Yeah.
And it's really important to clear your energy on a regular basis. Yeah.
It's true. I mean, I think of the before and after to kind of be like, the before is kind of like Pigpen from Charlie Brown.
Yes.
Yeah.
So imagine Pigpen all cleaned up. And
Yeah.
sparkly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he talks about our spirit, that our energy, our spirit is eternal.
Yeah.
Our current physical incarnation is only one piece of existence, only one piece of our history.
Yep.
We go back a long ways, and those of us who do a lot of past life work are fascinated by that. We know we've been here at these different critical times in history.
Right.
I know that I was there walking with Jesus as a child.
Yeah.
So I had a distinct memory of being there with him and had a very visceral reaction when I was at the Metropolitan Museum with a dear friend who was Jewish, and she was saying, okay, now what is that and what is this? And there was a big exhibit that was going on, and I just really started sobbing.
Wow.
And I remember then being at the crucifixion. So in a session, he actually came through and told me who I was.
Wow.
So people, I can't even tell you how many people that mostly spiritual people, who, when I've regressed them back, have actually been there, walked with Jesus. And we're here again now,
Right.
trying to get it right this time.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
we didn't do such a good job. And that was what he was feeling. He was like wringing his hands. Where did I go wrong?
Right. Right.
And we've just got to do it this time. We've got to band together, keep our energy uplifted and strong,
Right.
and you know, connect with him, the Christ light within him. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I know that they also say they don't interfere with us. Just kind of like that whole thing, I'm going to pray over that plant and have God come down and fix the plant.
Right.
The part of that is good is the intention. Just like, you know, when Dr. Usui's experiment with the water,
Right.
where you pray over or send love, 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 or hope, hope, hope to energy, that plant will feel it.
Right.
Another person will feel it when we send good energy. So that is a good thing. Praying
Right.
is good. I'm not
Right.
minimizing that. It's just that the energy that we put out is good. So if we pray from a place of fear, if we're like, oh my God, oh no, 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 then what we're putting out is fear.
Correct.
And so
Exactly.
as we take ownership for ourselves and work with them, then miracles happen.
And also when you're in meditation and you may be asking specifically for assistance with a particular challenge that you may have in your life, what a lot of people, and I find myself guilty of this as well, is you don't sit still long enough to hear what the answer may be or what guidance you may be getting to which you are then to take an action on that will help you. So what happens is we find ourselves often in what I would call panic mode or fear mode, saying, oh, I need help. I really need help. Can you please send this? But then we don't still ourselves long enough to actually hear the answer or see the signs of which an answer may be right in front of you. So that's something on my personal journey I've learned to be more still, and it's amazing what that will give you, that gift of being able to be receptive, what I call not just in transmit mode, going out transmitting, but also to allow receptive mode to happen.
It's a two-way.
It's a two-way.
And they get frustrated
exactly.
at us because
Yeah.
they're there. They are ever willing to help.
Absolutely.
We must ask, and
Right.
we must ask, but we also must pause to receive.
To receive.
You're exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
It's a two-way transmission.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to hear
Well,
what
I
Kathy's
think
talking.
a lot of people, I think, make up their mind that they're going to tell God what they want to receive.
Right, right,
So sometimes no answer is an answer.
Right.
And I kind of think the no answer in that moment is be still and let the answer come.
Right.
And watch for the signs. The answer may come in a song you hear, or a friend's call, or a bird. I mean, there could be the messages, the signs come in so many different ways, but you have to be quiet, be still enough, be observant enough, to and to be in a state of gratitude when you do see it.
Right.
Be in gratitude for receiving the message, and then take action.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's hard for them to get through the desperation and the frantic vibe because they are such high-level beings.
Right.
So if we can come to that place of stillness and neutrality, at least that they can get through to deliver a message.
Exactly. And they are at that high vibe level, so how can we hear them if we're low vibe? So this is where the whole this elevating consciousness comes into play, where we do our work. And our work could be, you went to the beach.
Right.
I was working with my roadies and, gardening and in nature. And that to me is my catharsis. That is my healing, getting my hands touching, working with my plants and my gardens and watching the animals. And that raises my energy. It's simple. It doesn't have to be really complex.
And there is so much beauty around all of us. As soon as you can look at a simple, beautiful flower and watch it as it's opening up, and you see the intricacy and the patterns and the beauty in that, the color vibrancy of our skies, the cloud formations. There are so many different ways to fill your heart with beauty, nature, and love.
Well, Kathy, you go on walks almost every day.
Yeah.
You live on one of the lakes, and you take pictures and post them. And I am in awe of you post pictures, and I don't think there's ever two the same.
Yeah.
No, but I'm at the same place every day, and that's what amazes me, and I think that's why I'm compelled to post them, because the scene changes moment to moment. It can look one way when I left to go on my walk, and it's an entirely different canvas on my way back.
Right.
Yeah.
Master. I can't do that, but source energy, God, if you will, can.
Yeah.
Gaia.
And Gaia, too.
The energy of the planet, Gaia, our mother.
Yeah.
A good message. Yeah. The other thing that Jesus said in tandem with the speak the compliment aloud is the voices of the people who do more good than harm don't seem to attract the attention of the people in the middle. And the voices of the people who do more harm than good seem to be heard more clearly. You need to make the voice of the people who do more good known. They need to be heard. And that's why we started this radio show. That's why we do what we do. There are so many good people out there, but they're shouted down by the clamor. And we've got this world that hinges on drama. Drama, trauma. And the movies, everything's drama, trauma. And so that's what people are keyed into. But the good people aren't talking drama, trauma.
Right.
And so their voices are shouted down by all of that dark energy, that intensely negative energy. And so we have to bring the energy up. We somehow have to wake people up to the drama, trauma, the drama, not trauma, but there's drama in the
beauty.
sky, in beauty.
Yeah, there is.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's like a treasure hunt.
Yep.
Yeah. That we can stay.
But the fear porn becomes addictive.
Yep. And how do we shake people out of it? Yeah. How do we shake people out of that? And
I think just by doing what we do, that's why we came back this time, is to just keep doing what we do. We may not be able to get everybody to listen, but to the people who do listen, it means the world.
That is,
literally.
And you could also shift your addiction to being one of filling yourself with the beauty of our planet.
We have.
And
Exactly.
and the more that people do that and share that, like you do, Kathy, with your beautiful pictures, and just giving voice to it. We had in our office, we had a practice member who came in with some beautiful flowers that were from her garden, and everyone who came in noticed them, commented on them, thought how beautiful they were. So people are looking for this. It's just sometimes they have to have it pointed out to them more to help fill with a new addiction.
And then them commenting on it added to more positive energy.
It did. Absolutely.
Because that is the theme through all of this is do what you can to lift your energy.
Right.
And
Right.
not allow and avoid allowing yourself to get caught in that downward spiral.
Correct.
Shift the spiral to come into a higher level energy.
Right.
And one of the things he said is change is constant at some level. One of the basic laws written into the fabric of the universe is nothing remains the same. You stagnate, and you perish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he also said it's possible to try to change too much too quickly. When you challenge a person's belief, whatever they are, the result is always going to be negative.
Yeah.
So you can't force people to change. We have to inspire people. We have to help people
Right.
to look to change themselves, even little by little by little.
Correct.
That's true. As long as we extend the invitation, it is theirs to accept or decline. I'm so grateful that you played Here I Am, Lord, because one of the easiest ways for me to raise my vibration is singing. And thank God for mute, because nobody would want to hear me. But it does. It kind of lifts your vibration pretty quickly.
And we lift each other. You know, if someone's having a challenging time, reaching out to another person just to feel connected is important.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, to be
Right.
there for one another. And he also talked about that we should present the messages as reminders, including the fact that there is enough for everyone. You can't
Right.
force a belief on someone, and that's what's happening.
No.
Right.
Yes.
You have to invite people, as you said. You've got to help people to come to their own conclusions. Let them use their own critical thinking.
That would be a good idea.
You think? He went on to say it's the negative that seems to be amplified. There are many more good people than bad.
There really are.
There really are.
There, and that is so wonderful to keep hearing, because there does seem to be so much attention on the more of the negative and the bad, and you kind of feel a little overwhelmed and outnumbered sometimes. But when you pause and realize that there are so many, many more good people there, it's just getting them all to keep reaching out and to connect to each other. Yeah.
And it looks like we're at the end of our
Wow.
show. Thank you both.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh.
Thank you both. Thank you, listeners, for being
Yeah.
here with us. And
Thank
we'll
you.
convene again and
Yeah.
continue this. Thank
Yeah.
you both. And
Thank you.
Thank
until
you.
next time, look up, stay positive, and be the light in someone's day.
Yeah.
God bless.